The sun shone weakly through the castle windows in Hungary. Inside, a tiny baby girl cried in her mother's arms. She was Margaret, born into a world already torn by war. "Your Highness, the Danes have taken England," a messenger whispered urgently. "Your family must leave now." Her mother clutched the infant, fear etched in her face. "We must go, my child. Run, live, survive." And so, Margaret's life began not with lullabies, but with flight and uncertainty. From Hungary to France, from France to England, she traveled in exile, learning hardship before she had learned comfort. Castles were temporary homes, strangers' smiles fleeting. Yet even as a child, Margaret found her anchor, prayer. She would clutch a small, worn prayer book her mother gave her and whisper, "Guide us, Father. Keep us safe." Through hunger, cold nights, and endless travel, Margaret grew resilient and wise beyond her years. She listened to the stories of exiled nobles, learned languages, and observed the cruelty and kindness of people. Even as a girl, she noticed injustice and felt a fierce desire to help, dreaming of a world where suffering was eased by mercy. Years later, Margaret, now a young woman, arrived in Scotland. The land was wild, rolling hills, dense forests, and harsh winters. She rode into the Scottish court with her heart pounding, unsure if she would be welcomed or feared King Malcolm III studied her carefully, his eyes sharp and assessing. "You come from far away. Can you survive among us?" Margaret lifted her chin, calm yet determined. "I do not come merely to survive, my king. I come to learn, and perhaps to help." The court was strange, noisy, and rough. Warriors laughed boisterously, servants whispered in corners, and rumors of rebellion and betrayal floated in the air like smoke. Margaret could feel the weight of every gaze, but she stood firm, determined to make a difference in a world so unlike the peaceful exile of her childhood. Life in the Scottish court tested Margaret every day. The halls were drafty, the beds hard, and winter nights long. Yet she refused to retreat. She would rise before dawn, kneel on the cold stone floor, and pray for guidance, for her husband, and for the people she had not yet met. She often wandered the corridors late at night, carrying food to the poor, helping the sick, and calming frightened servants. "Your Highness, it is dangerous to go alone," whispered Anna. Her maid Margaret smiled softly. "The world outside may be cold and cruel, Anna, but if I can bring warmth to even one heart, it is worth every risk." Even Malcolm began to notice her influence. Her calm wisdom softened some of the court's harshest hearts. Her small acts of kindness, giving food to the hungry, comforting the sick, began to ripple outward. Margaret's faith and courage became her true strength. Margaret and Malcolm married, and the kingdom watched the union with curiosity and skepticism. Some doubted that a gentle foreign princess could rule or influence the court. Yet Margaret proved herself daily, not through displays of power, but through quiet courage and guidance. She bore 8 children, each one a responsibility and a blessing. She taught them about kindness, faith, and justice, knowing the future of Scotland depended on them. One evening, she sat by the fire, rocking her youngest child, while Malcolm paced in worry. "Margaret, these lands are full of enemies. Our family, our children, are never truly safe." Margaret placed a hand on his arm. "We cannot live in fear, Malcolm. If we teach our children courage and faith, they will survive, and they will lead with justice. That is all we can do." Her days were filled with joys and anxieties, comforting a servant's sick child, negotiating disputes among nobles, teaching her children prayers, and praying herself late into the night. Through it all, she remained steady and compassionate, a quiet pillar in a world of uncertainty. If you're enjoying Margaret's journey so far, don't forget to like this video, comment your favorite part of her story, and subscribe so you won't miss the rest of her incredible journey. Winter came, harsh and unforgiving. Word arrived one morning that shook Margaret to her core. King Malcolm had fallen in battle. Her knees buckled as she read the messenger's letter. "No, not him," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Her children clung to her skirts, confused and frightened. That night, alone in her chamber, she wept for her husband, for her children, and for the kingdom that seemed suddenly fragile and uncertain. She prayed for strength, whispering, "Father, I am weary, but you have placed this burden upon me. Guide me to protect these children, this land, and these people." Despite grief and exhaustion, Margaret rose the next day, determined not to falter. She continued her prayers, tended to the sick and poor, and encouraged her children to be strong. Even in sorrow, her courage shone. Margaret's health slowly declined, yet her spirit remained unbroken. She sat by the window, watching her children play, knowing that her time was near. She called them close. "Remember, my loves," she said softly, her voice trembling yet firm. "A crown does not make a queen. Kindness, courage, and faith do. Serve your people, love God, and lead with your hearts." Her children nodded, tears in their eyes, sensing the depth of her love and wisdom. Margaret whispered one last prayer, hands folded over her chest, eyes lifted to the heavens. "Father, thank you for everything." On 16 November 1093, Margaret passed away peacefully. Outside, the Scottish wind blew across the hills, as if carrying her spirit across the land she had touched with her faith, courage, and compassion. Stories of Margaret's courage and faith spread through Scotland. Tales of her prayers, her acts of mercy, and her guidance of her children inspired countless hearts. Centuries later, in 1250, Pope Innocent IV canonized her. She became Saint Margaret of Scotland, remembered not for her royal title, but for her heart, her courage, and the lives she changed. Her life reminds us that true strength is not in power or wealth, but in faith, love, and the courage to act even when the world is harsh and uncertain. Margaret's journey from exile to sainthood shows that one person, guided by faith and compassion, can leave a legacy that lasts for generations.